you remember a couple of years ago, 2021, the San Francisco 49ers, who are one of the top teams in the league, but they haven't been able to get that elusive Super Bowl win in like 30 years or so. But they went all in, and I mean all in, gave up first-round picks in 2021, 2022, and 2023, plus a third-round pick in 2022 to draft Trey Lance with the third overall pick. Lance, Rob, was a Division I AA player, FCS, had only had 17 starts at North Dakota State, and now, in large part because of injury, but he's only started 4 games in his 2 years for the Niners, and now he's not slated to be the starter. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant the year before in the draft, had come in last year, played really well, had the highest passer rating in the league, 107. For the games he played about 9 games, started, I believe, 5. And then won 2 playoff games and was very good in the first win over Seattle with 3 touchdowns. So it's Purdy's job to lose. And now Trey Lance is actually battling with Sam Darnold to just get on the roster, according to reports. Now, it's not like there's strong indication they're going to cut him, but they do like another quarterback named Brandon Allen, and it looks like they want to keep him. He's not going to play much, but it looks like they want to keep him on the roster to see if he can, become anything. And that could mean that if Trey Lance loses the second spot, the backup spot to Sam Darnold, he could, be on his way to somewhere else. And he hadn't gotten a chance, Rob, or he has, but he's been injured. It's hard to it hasn't been spectacular by any stretch in his limited playing time, but it's so limited that it is hard to get have a firm opinion on him. But I will say this, Rob, the Niners, they're seeing him in practice. It's like we've talked about Jordan Love, and I get it. Some guys are gamers, and they'll be better in the game than they are in practice, or vice versa. But he clearly isn't blowing them away in practice. So I think if he's not their guy, I forget all that. Man, we gave up so much for him, we got to play him. No. What's done is done. If you made a mistake, you made a mistake, but you still have a team that is a Super Bowl contender. And if Trey Lance isn't the guy to get you there, then go with the guy who you think is, presumably at this point, at least, Brock Purdy. So, kind of like you talked about with the Mets.
I hear you. If I'm the owner, I need to know from the general manager that you swung and missed. And what happened here, and why did we move up and give up picks to this guy who now you're saying can't play? So I'd have to reevaluate our scouting, and that we missed that much, and we gave up for guy who played 4 games for us. And now Sam Darnold, who hadn't really been able to do much, we're already ready to move on from this kid without really seeing him totally, Chris, healthy and some time. So I would be leery of doing that and having not seen enough of him in game action. But I do subscribe to the belief, and I've told you this a few times, and I think it is the right approach. Joe Dumars, when he was the Pistons president and general manager, Chris, his philosophy is not about being right, it's about getting it right. And if I drafted somebody that doesn't work out, and I'll trade him. And a lot of GMs don't want to do that because you're admitting that you made a mistake. People make mistakes. That's why they put erasers on pencils. Why would you act like you haven't made a mistake, Chris? But there are GMs who will just go to the mat and force. You've seen it in the NBA. Stick with players who can't play. They can't play.
No, I agree with that philosophy. And that's what I'm saying. And again, I hear you. Like I said, I haven't been overly impressed in the little bit I've seen of Trey Lance, and I thought Purdy was good. I do think Purdy should enter camp, or should have entered camp, as QB1. But I also think, if he doesn't look good and Darnold or Lance blows you away, then, maybe you look that way. But I think Purdy's pretty good. And Rob, the thing we have heard,
I'm still not sure on Purdy yet. I need to see more this year.
I'm not saying he's going to be a star, but he looked good in what he did last year. And only an injury, of course, derailed him. But the one thing, like Shanahan clearly likes Purdy and talked about it even before he was playing, like how this kid had something. And I think he may have even used the word special. Now, this is before he's playing, right? Jimmy G's the quarterback. Sam Darnold, he compared him famously now to Steve Young. Maybe he can become a Steve Young. And I may be missing it, Rob G. Let me know if I missed it or Rob, But I don't hear that type of praise about Trey Lance coming from Shanahan. Obviously started him last year, so he probably did say some glowing things about him last year. But I don't know. It just seems like, you're hearing the other two guys get big love and not Trey. I get it, Rob. You certainly want to see him play. But if Purdy is just beating him out in practice, and we saw Purdy play well in games, and you have a team that's built to win now, you got to go with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, it's you're going to go with who gives you the best chance. And if you really believe that it's Brock Purdy, then that's the guy you have to go with. If you don't, or you question it, or we saw it, I always go back to Seattle, right? They signed Matt Flynn to this big contract.
Yep.
And Russell Wilson shows up, the baseball player, played football at Wisconsin, Chris, right? And he shows up, and all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute. He's better than that guy.
Yep.
And they
As
made
a rookie.
Right, right? Matt Flynn threw 6 touchdowns in one game, the all-time record in Green Bay Packers history. Right? Better than Bart Starr and Brett Favre.
Yep.
And he got a contract. He killed the Lions, threw for 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. He destroyed them. Yep. They thought we got our quarterback, Matt Flynn.
Yep.
The dude didn't even play. Did he play a game? I don't think he played a game.
I don't think Russ missed any games. And then they moved on from him. Yeah. No, I agree. And again, Rob, I think that's the smart thing to do. Right? Don't sit there and try to cover your tracks, because it's going to come back to haunt you anyway. You put Matt Flynn out there because you gave him all this money and he's horrible, then what? You put Trey Lance out there instead of Brock Purdy, and because you gave up all that draft capital for him and he's bad, then what? I am totally with the getting it right philosophy. Yeah, no,
I like that philosophy. I think that makes total sense to me. But you remember too, Chris, to just refresh people, Michael Lombardi, friend of ours, right? The former NFL executive. He reported that Kyle Shanahan actually wanted Mac Jones and not Trey Lance. And Lombardi said that the quote unquote, Chris, the resistance factor within the organizations led the 49ers to taking Lance instead. So again, if you're Shanahan and you didn't really want the guy, right, now you can use that to say, see, I didn't want him from Jump Street. And the coach ultimately is going to have that say, because it's their system, it's their program. And you got to give him what he wants. But what did Bill Parcells always talked about? If I'm going to make the meal, I got to buy the groceries. I got to pick the ingredients.
Right.